We're going to turn our attention back to International Women's Day. Etsy announced 87% of their sellers are women. The digital marketplace hoping to serve as a platform for female entrepreneurship and diversity. So joining us once again is Etsy CEO Josh Silverman. It's good to have you back here. And 87% of the people who are selling are women. How did that happen? Was it just organic that it happened that way?
Yeah, I don't think it's been a focused effort, but we love it. 87% of our sellers are women, and we have more than 2 million sellers. Most of them are businesses of one who can run a global enterprise from their living room. And in a world where creativity is changing the nature of work, the idea that you can harness your creative energy to turn that into something that can feed your family, we think is really exciting.
Have you done any research on the platform, not just the number of sellers that are women versus men, but I'm curious how much income they generate versus the male sellers, and have you done any other kind of analytics around it?
We have. Almost 50% of our sellers said that they started their Etsy business in response to a financial need in their family. About 50% of our sellers said that the first thing that they ever sold was on Etsy. So we see ourselves as an on-ramp for people to really be able to build and run a business that can often scale to become a meaningful and global business.
You also, you put your money where your mouth is. I'm looking at some of the stats on your company. 52% of the people in leadership roles at Etsy are female. 33% of the engineers are female. Was that a conscious decision you made when building this company?
Absolutely. It's been something that's been important to us from the beginning. And it makes sense. Most of our buyers and most of our sellers are women. So this is a company that should have women in really important roles everywhere throughout the company. So 50% of our board are women. 2/3 of the executive staff are women. And we're very proud that over 30% of our engineers are women, which is far in excess of what you'd see anywhere else in the tech industry.
I mean, on all those metrics, Etsy basically outshines every single company out there when it comes to, are you a company that supports diversity and really holds it true? Do you think some of that has had to do with, you're a newer CEO in the company's life cycle. You've had female CEOs before. Do you think some of that has to do with sort of the commitment you've had to diversity at the leadership level, so there's been a different sort of intentionality there?
I think it's very important. We've had sustained commitment over a period of time. There's no silver bullet for this. But I do think that great, talented women look at Etsy and see this is a place I can succeed. So they want to come here, and it actually becomes a competitive advantage for us in the talent market.
Yeah.
We are very focused on things. For example, we've looked at when you write a job description, men tend to look at job descriptions, and if they fulfill most of the requirements, it's good enough and they'll apply. Women more often say if they don't fulfill every single requirement, they're not qualified and they don't apply. So we've really looked at every requirement we put in a job description, and is it truly a requirement or not? And we see that as we do that, more women apply.
And how are you finding the response to that on the technical side? So 33% of technical positions, industry-wide, you are at the top end versus the big technology companies. It's a hard number to fill. Yeah. A lot of people say, well, the pipeline's just not good enough. So how do you guys go about finding those females in tech roles?
So we do work actively to source. Look, unemployment for coders in general is close to zero. So we've got to be proactive. So for example, there's the Recur Center in New York is a wonderful place for people who are mid-career, typically women, to come and get trained or up their skills in engineering, and we have a great partnership with them, and it's a great way to go and build a pipeline. And building those relationships over a period of years is really important.
Just quickly, I wanted to ask you, women's success at Etsy has largely been Etsy's success. You guys have been outperforming. Yesterday, you had an investor day. I quickly have to ask you about it. Gross merchandise sales, you guys gave guidance of 16 to 20% growth, and the stock went down because you guys have been growing at such a quick pace. What do you think there? What do you think is there a gap between what the company's doing and the reaction?
Look, our stock performance has been terrific, and I don't think anyone is complaining about our stock performance. And the market was down 2%. We were down 4% yesterday. Our stock goes up and down a few percent every day. What we did yesterday is we laid out the long-term vision for Etsy. We talked about the huge market opportunity we have. We talked about what an early stage we're in attacking that opportunity, and we talked about our sustainable competitive advantage. And then we committed that over the next 5 years, in each of those years, we think we can grow substantially faster than the market and have our margins expand. We feel great about that.
Unfortunately, out of time, but want to get you back because that market discussion, it's going from 100 million to 100 billion to 170 billion by 2023, and I know that you've got plans to get there, so we're going to grill you on it.
Great.
Next time we can get you back. And we want to thank Etsy CEO Josh Silverman for joining us on The Move.